What's up, everyone? Welcome back. Today we have Bitcoin sitting at $60,000 and falling down to 57,700 in the overnight hours. We have the SPY moving up this morning at 535, and the Qs also moving up at 452. So today I wanted to discuss should we be buying this dip, or are we in a stock market bubble and be looking to sell the rip? Well, just want to start off with this chart over here from Paulson Perspectives. This is a chart of the major stock market bubbles of the last 60 years, and we have these different lines here. We have the 1970s Nifty 50, the 87 crash bubble, and the 2000 dot-com bubble, as well as today. And it says today's not a bubble. Um, this chart was posted earlier this year, but it shows that we, while we appear to be in a bubble, we really aren't that overinflated yet. So that is something to keep in mind. And Seth Goldman posted this over here on X, positive 12-month percentage change in forward earnings marking new cycle high. Don't see recession with forward earnings inflection higher in continuum like this. So the broader stock market is continuing to post higher forward earnings, which suggests that there is still room for this market to go up. And we know we have been seeing a rotation out of some of the big tech stocks and into other sectors. So today I want to discuss which sectors and stocks, as well as commodities and crypto, that we should be taking a look at. So if that sounds good to you, be sure to hit the like button and be sure to subscribe if you want to see more. And let's get into the video. All right, so we have the IWM setting at 204. If we zoom in here just a little bit, you see that we have come back down and we are setting right about where our trend line is and finding some support here at this level. So it looks like we could be seeing some of these small cap stocks start to outperform other stocks, and one of those stocks is Robinhood. Let me put my graphics back on here. Robinhood sitting at 1846. This is the weekly, and we have the RSIs at the bottom side. Indicating that we may see a bounce here in the coming days and weeks. And we have our first take profit zone around that $26 to $28 level. And this morning, this stock was just upgraded to a $32 earning or stock price, sorry guys, by one of the big banks. So that's something to keep in mind. And I was just noticing an alert there, so that's what I was taking a look at. But anyway, where else can we look to potentially outperform in this market? Um, we could look to gold. Gold sitting at 2460 and has been looking strong here the past couple of weeks. And it looks like gold could be potentially going to break the all-time highs here very soon. So that's something to keep in mind. But to be honest, I may want to take a look at things like silver that hasn't been performing quite as well here the past several weeks, and it looks like we may be finding a base on silver sitting at 27.80. 87. We know that if gold's price continues to move up, then silver should do so as well. And it's been underperforming relative to gold. And so that's something to keep in mind. You could also take a look at something like the gold or silver miners, which tend to lag the price of the commodity itself. That's something I've mentioned here several times. And what other sectors can we look at? Well, we could take a look at something like XLV, the healthcare sector, relative to the SPY. Just broke out of this downward sloping trend here in the past several days and is now looking like it may begin to outperform the S&P from a broader market perspective. So we know that as we get near these cycle tops, well, you do start to see some of these more defensive plays come in, and healthcare is one of those sectors, as well as utilities also breaking its downward sloping trend and putting in a series of higher lows and higher highs now. So that is something to keep in mind. We can also take a look at things such as TLT setting at 96.45, and we've had a little pullback here in the past couple of days, looking to put in a higher low here, and we may have done that here in the past few days. If you look at a lot of these charts, last week after the sell-off on Monday, it was pretty wild, but it looks like we're starting to stabilize and find um, some support in these areas and that we may be moving higher. If we go back to the SPY chart, you still see that we have this gap fill setting around 542. So it is likely that we may go up and get that. And it's possible we could reject from this area before moving up there. Nevertheless, the stochastic is moving towards the upside on the daily. And if we take a look at the weekly chart, it is going to make me reload this, guys. Sorry, give me just one moment here and we will get that chart pulled back up. But if we take a look at this on the weekly, then you will see that the RSI is at the bottom side, indicating that we may see a bounce here in the coming weeks. It looks like potentially sometime later this week or next week, we may see a bounce here, and we still have a target of around 600 on the SPY or 6,000 on the S&P. So that is something to keep in mind. It does look like this stock market could go higher. And if we take a look at the Qs, we do have that gap fill also sitting around 459. And we also have a couple gap fills here higher, sitting around 480 and then up around 496. And we know that the market likes to fill these gaps. So it's most likely that these gaps do get closed. And I think if we start to go back up that way, well, we will probably break to new all-time highs. That is still a possibility. We still have probably about 6 to 12 months left in this stock market rally, possibly a little longer. But there is still the possibility to the downside, so that's something to keep in mind. We do have some gap fills back here. that there is a potential that we could see a rejection here and we start to move lower before moving higher. So that's just something to keep in mind. If that were the case, then I think this market would rally would last longer. If we just go back up and keep moving up here, well, we may get a shorter cycle. So that's also something to keep in mind. But nevertheless, I still think we have about 6 to 12 months left in this stock market rally. If you are interested in buying stocks, commodities, or crypto, you can do so with Robinhood. Right now, Robinhood offers a 1% boost plus 8 times the national savings rate. You can begin investing and building your portfolio with just as little as $1, and they allow you to buy stocks, options, and ETFs and trade commission free. They also offer crypto such as Bitcoin and Ethereum, as well as gold. So if you're interested, there is a link down in the description below. All right, guys, let's move on to Bitcoin and discuss what is going on there. We have Bitcoin on the weekly chart, putting in a green candle last week. This is a pretty bullish sign for Bitcoin. We are also in the green this week, so if we manage to close in the green here, above this previous candle, well, then that would be a sign that the bulls are in control. We have this massive inverse head and shoulders pattern here, potentially playing out, indicating that if we do get past this area here, then we are probably going to break new all-time highs, and we could go much higher. We could see something like 80 to 90,000, possibly six figures by the end of the year. I still think that's a possibility, but it really kind of depends on what happens here probably in the next couple of weeks to couple of months. We've got data coming out this week. We've got CPI. That will be something to keep an eye on, to determine which way these markets want to head next. And of course, we also have the potential for rate cuts coming in September, and there is a possibility that we do see a pullback into that or even after that rate cut. But I do suspect that if we haven't found a low already, that we will see it here potentially in September, but it is most likely that the low is in my opinion. I think we have seen that low, and there is a possibility if we go back and look at our other Bitcoin chart here that we could potentially move a little lower before moving higher. I do think that is a possibility. But nevertheless, maybe this low that we've seen here overnight was that next low, and we could start to move higher. One thing that I've been noticing on these charts that is interesting is with Bitcoin being a risk on asset, is it tends to lead the markets. So it kind of sniffs out any issues going on with the markets, just like what we saw with this sell-off over here, starting before the S&P started selling off a couple weeks ago. And we've seen a lot of strength here recently for Bitcoin. We got the gap fill, CME gap fill here on Bitcoin, and we still haven't seen that on the S&P. If we go back to the daily, that gap fill that I was mentioning earlier up here. So we still haven't seen that gap fill. So I suspect that we probably will go up and get that gap fill maybe before we start to move lower. Of course, we could move a little lower here first, back down to this zone, and then go up and get that gap fill. If we were going to see something like the S&P start to show some more weakness, well, we could come back down and possibly test one of these zones one more time before moving upwards. It looks like we've got a lot of volatility. Of course, that is good for traders. What else is going on with Bitcoin? Well, this is the monthly heat map, and you see that we have this liquidation level setting around that $70,300 level, and the markets do like to go and get that liquidation. So there is the real possibility that Bitcoin does move back up and uh, retest these previous all-time highs here very soon. I think that is coming. I definitely think you'll see that here in the coming weeks, and that we will go back up to retest those all-time highs. And if we can get to that level, well, it will be off to higher highs. What other cryptos can we take a look at? Well, we could take a look at Ethereum. Ethereum setting at 2691. Moving a little higher here this morning, starting to look a little bit better for Ethereum. Ethereum has been a little bit weak here in the past week or so since we've seen this sell off, losing that range we were in of around $3,000 or $2,900 on the low side. Nevertheless, I do think you are going to start seeing Ethereum uh, doing well. We have the ETFs, spot ETFs that have been launched, and once um, Grayscale stops selling, I do think you will see a major tick up for Ethereum. It was looking pretty bullish here for Ethereum. It was starting to outperform um, Bitcoin, as well as some of these other altcoins have been showing some signs of strength here lately in the past few weeks, and starting to show signs that they may outperform Bitcoin moving forward. You can also take a look at a chart like Sol versus Ethereum. Solana has been looking very strong and is starting to outperform Ethereum here in the past couple of days. So that is really bullish for Solana, making a new all-time high here on this ratio for Solana. So Solana is looking good. Solana is setting at 146.50. And of course, we still have our first take profit zone around 225 to 250. So that's something to keep in mind if Bitcoin does go back and retest those all-time highs. I do think you will see Solana up in this area. And once it breaks out of here, well, it would be blue sky territory for Solana. I still think Solana goes a lot higher. I think you could see Solana go well over $500 or $600 this cycle, and potentially higher. That is a real possibility as long as these markets do continue to uh, keep putting in higher highs overall, and there is no signs of the markets starting to turn over. If you're interested in buying Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, and many more, you can do so with iTrust Capital. iTrust Capital allows you to buy, sell, and trade crypto, gold, and silver 24/7 in a tax advantage IRA. They offer low cost and no monthly fee and have over 5,000 plus 5-star reviews on Google. I use iTrust Capital. If you're interested, there is a link down below in the description. Um, what I liked about iTrust is they do have people that you can actually call and talk to when you're setting up your account. And they also allow you to roll over a portion or all of your 401k or IRA with iTrust. That's what I did. I rolled over a portion of my IRA into iTrust to gain exposure to crypto. All right, guys, don't forget to go follow me over on X or Twitter at Mind of Financier. I am Mind of the Financier on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. But over here on X, I post anything that I see that has to do with stocks, commodities, and crypto. Also, don't forget to drop a comment below if there's something that you want me to take a look at. Feel free to ask. I'll check it out and give you my opinion. Um, I have been an investor and trader for over 20 years, so you can ask me any questions down in the comments section. And it is Monday, so I hope you all had a great weekend and welcome to a new week. It is going to be interesting here this week. We will have to keep an eye on those CPIs numbers coming out later this week to see which directions these markets may go. I do think that we are going to see a bounce here in the markets in the coming days and weeks. All right, guys. Anyway, I hope you all continue to have a good week. Take care. Be legendary. Until next time, peace out.